Welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith. Today we have the start of our shaft bearing and sleeve support for, I don't know if it's a ramp or a bridge. It may be a steel bridge. This is going to be the shaft here itself, and we're raising this up to get it in the lathe. Now we've already straightened this, and we got it to run about 3 thousandths here in the middle, which is going to be pretty good. Now we're going to get this in there, and we're going to set our steady rest, and we're going to send a drill to each end here so that we can support it. And then real close to the edge here, we have a pillow block, 2-bolt pillow block bearing that is going to support this on each end. Then we have a series of shafts, sleeves. There's 3 sleeves that sit on here, and they'll sit in between here, and they get welded into the structure itself. Now we've got to bore those to fit over this, but we also got to give it enough clearance so that when they weld them lineal wise, that when that bore goes from round to egg shape, still going to be able to slide that pin through. This shaft we have over here in the K&T on the rollers here is a piece of 2-inch cold roll that we ordered, and we're surprising the thing actually turns within a couple thousandths right where we have the indicator right there, and looks pretty good overall. We're going to be making a boring bar out of that, and then we're going to set the sleeves up in the lathe in our cradles, 3-point cradle that we've adapted to our carriage here, and we're going to use the lathe to do the line boring. Alright, so I'm going to start getting this into the lathe here now. We got our indicator in here, and we're set up about center line is just about where the jaws are, and we got the steady rest here, and we're going to center drill the end of the shaft, and we're just kind of curious on what we're actually getting here as far as run out. And I'm reading about 2 thousandths there, and I think even up here close to the chuck there. Two. And it looks like it has like a little dip or whatever right in there, and you can see my heat spots here. I did have to draw it over. It was running about 20 thousandths out in the middle, and I've got that down to within 3 thousandths run out. Alright, now this is the pillow block that's got to be fit to the end here, and originally they were talking about turning this whole diameter down, to fit this bearing, and then the mechanical sleeves would slip over it. Well, the finished diameter on the mechanical sleeves is about 15 thousandths interference to the diameter of this bearing, so that's why we're going to be setting up the sleeves, and we're going to be line boring those out for clearance. Plus they also get welded into the structure, and that will also cause a little bit of egg shaping in the material. Now we already know that this is basically 2 7/8, I believe. And no, it's 2 15/16. 2375. Or 2 inches 9 3/75. All right. Now I want to show you this as well. We're going to take this ring off of here. All right. There's a question of measuring with snap gauges. All right. Now snap gauges, everybody knows they spring in from both sides. I like to insert it into the bore. Okay. Sometimes I'll go ahead and I'll squeeze them. Just lightly tighten them so that I can stick them in the bore here real quick, so I'm not having to fight them. And then I spring them out. Now I like to, because you can travel one way or the other way, this back and forth on your slides there. I like pick the middle, okay, with them slightly angled, okay, so that they're longer than the bore. That right there is almost 100 thousandths longer. This is close to a 3-inch. Now, when you put the snap gauges in the bore to take your reading, I'm going to leave this one here. I try to keep this one stationary, and I pull on the handle, that one on the back side, past that one. And then that is the position you measure, and you measure once. You don't put the thing back in because you can take a chance on closing it tighter than it actually is. And there again, I'm reading 2937. Alright, put them in again. Draw it. You know, go as many times as you need to be comfortable with your measurement. 29375. And one more time, just for that's really as simple as snap gauges are. Right there. Alright, now we're going to go ahead, and we know basically about where this is at, so we're going to start setting up, and we're going to get a center drill in here so that we can support it with a live center, help support this in, and we're going to start turning for this diameter here. Before we get into this, and I just checked this, the sleeves are like 2 7/8, so we got the 16th or so, and I thought this was 3-inch shaft, but this shaft actually Mike's 3/1000 clearance, but they said they had a problem with the bearing sliding on here, so now we're just going to go ahead and kiss this little chamfer off of here so that the thing can slide on. And we're going to grab the bearing, we're going to try the fit. And the bearing fits on there. We don't have to do nothing to this, and we've got the shaft straight. We just polish it up with some paper, and we'll turn it around, and we'll double check the other end as well, and we can start setting up for the line boring. A little shallow on the angle. I'm going to steepen it up a little bit. Alright, here we go. Do we get... Alright, we don't have to do anything to this shaft. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to polish this end here, and we'll turn it around and make sure the bearing fits on the other side. We can't control the tolerance any more than this fits on here. They did give us a tolerance, and it said the tolerance for that bearing, which they asked us to hold, and 2 15/16 plus nothing, minus 2,000, and we are about 2.5, maybe 3,000ths under, which I think is still going to be substantially, you know, I think it's going to be okay myself. Alright, right there's the center line. Okay, I'm going to choke this in a little bit more, and here's our center line. Alright, we're going to check the fit of the bearing here before we do anything. Just happen to see if we get lucky here. Oh, okay, there's something a little funky there on the end, and that is a virgin end of a rod. And sometimes the blunt end of a rod, of course the material house is going to sell it to you because they want to make the money. They get X amount in their rim. If you're going to eat up half a bar, they want exactly the other half of the bar, type of thing. So anyway, let's go ahead. We're going to put a center drill in here, and then we can skim a high off of there if we have to, or hand draw file it. Yeah, we are miking about 1/1000 over on one side there. That might have just done it, a little draw file. I think we may just have it. Okay, we're done with the shaft. They can space these wherever they want. They're within, we have no control over the tolerance. They are the material they gave us. Now we can start setting up our mechanical tubings, and we're going to bore those to be clearance plus a little bit extra clearance for the weld contraction of two seams running down the side. This is the mechanical tubing. This is one of two of the short ones, so we have one long one. And they are going to have a weld bead running along the side here, which will draw in here and squeeze this together and open it up this way here. Alright, and when it squeezes together, we got to have clearance because they want to slide this pin through the whatever they're attaching these to. Alright, we got steady rest set up on, we got one of the short ones because we just chucked it and we slid this in about where we wanted. We tightened it up and we just kind of brought in the feet here equally on all of them. Brought down the top when we locked it in. Now we're not necessarily having to face anything off of here, but we are going to lightly skip the face. We're going to chamfer, clean the inside a little bit more than needs to be so that that pin will slide through and have a starting chamfer to the hole as they slide the big pin through. We're just going to break the outside edge there just slightly. So we're just going to dress the end of all these tubes right now before we get ready to set them up into the boring mode. And we still have to put the boring bar in here and center drill it on each end and get it started as well. That should be enough lead angle there, and we're just showing just slight signs of the saw cut out here. That's what we want. Just break it right there. Alright, let's into it. We'll do the same thing. Alright, here's the longer one in here. So we slid our steady rest out here about the same distance from the end here. And you see how nice and smooth and true. I'm just really glad that this is really nice and true material, because we're getting ready to, we're going to be line boring this. Now this is this will probably be the longest line boring that I've ever attempted in a lathe. And this is 34.5 inches, alright? But right now, we're just doing the same as we did on the short ones, and we're going ahead and just chamfer, kiss this face, give a leading edge here. Alright, and then we're going to start working on the boring bar that was going to be held in here. But we need to make a few plans on how to do this. So we'll go ahead and face this on each end, and then we're going to get the boring bar in here so we can pick up a center hole, so we can endo the boring bar need be for the future and for this job here. And then we'll pull it out, and we're going to get the cradle set up, and then we're going to start figuring out our placement for our boring bits to the bar, and clearance and a couple other things going, and we're going to start doing the mill work on the boring bar. And then we'll be able to slide the boring bar into the assembly here, and you know, that's kind of the plan. So we're heading that way. And a little starting chamfer on the leading edge there. Now it looks large, but we got to bore about 1/16 of an inch out of these. So that one we actually might have to add a little bit more to that chamfer, but that's a good starting point. Alright, we're going to bring it over here. What we do is we bring it in, we just touch that surface, and just let's give it about 10. That's this is a witness mark. I said, you want us to face the end? He said no, but we want to have a square surface there. We have to add a couple pieces of tooling possibly to this to guide the bearing through this, especially on this long one here. So, and I'm glad this OD is running real true, and if we have to, we're going to locate on the outside here, and we're going to have a carrier bearing follow the bar. Just what I foresee in the job, that's all. Alright, this is going to be the boring bar itself, and we chose a piece of 2-inch. And I just happen to have it up here on the rollers, and we put our travel dial on here so that we could check the run out, just for curiosity. And this is actually running within a couple thousandths. This is pretty. I'm a couple thousandths in 4 foot. All right, we're set up with our steady rest here. This 2-inch shaft, co-rolled 1018, and we're just going to go ahead and chamfer, face it, center drill it, both ends. And this is going to be so that we can carry this end of this bar in our tailstock or our live center. We gave it a pretty good center just because we want a good solid center in there. Alright, we've got our 2 cradles up here, and we're getting ready to bolt them down to our carriage. And underneath here, when I built these, I incorporated 2 pins here that line up in the slot. And then this is an opening here that allows the screw clearance to give the drop I need on the center pin once in a while for the extra travel that's down in here, instead of having it dead out, okay, so I can have the larger swing if I need to. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and put the 2 T-nuts in here, and we pretty well got this one to where we can bolt this one down without any interference. Now if we were using it, originally I built them and we ran them in this slot here, and this distance here was okay for the struts that I was using or machining. Now we've got a longer tube in here, and we're going to be spreading our width that we got capabilities of bolting down to the carriage here to the other groove out here, but we have a table stop right here in the way, and I'm going to go ahead and modify this to clear the table stop. Alright, we put this piece in the 3-jaw here so that we can roughly get our center of our piece here. And we figured pretty much, I think when I built these, we were pretty well equal on the carriage here. And we can just go ahead and measure from pipe to our OD here, 1/700. 1/100. Okay, there's 2 inches there. 1/800. 1/900. 1/900. All right, there's so flush with this outside edge here is equal or centered. All right. I like that. Alright, now we just need to concentrate on mounting this one up over here. Let's give you a close-up of what I'm running into on this problem over here. Alright, on this side here, there's no problem back here. Normally, we'd be able to slide this in and tighten it down just like we did that forward one. We line this up with this edge right here, and we know that we're centered with that one there now that we remember where we set it to be centered there. Now, this pin locates in over here, but I can't get in here because the carriage lock is in the way. So we slid a T-nut in here, measured over here to where our edge is here, and we're going to go ahead and set this up, and we're going to mill a radius in here to go ahead. Actually, I'm probably going to go right in there and maybe with a torch and go ahead and cut that, and then just do some grinding. So I actually don't have a machine that would be totally open right now for this operation here. So I'm going to mark this off. About a 1/2 inch. It's got to come out here. Something like that. We put this over our plasma table. We find that this is also very comfortable to go ahead and have a nice platform to put something and do some burning and not burn down on our shoelaces and stuff. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that arc out with our hand torch just because we can. Now, I like, especially if you have a hard time seeing with a drawn line or your soapstone or your Sharpie or whatever you're marking it with, lots of times just putting a nice arc there with some center punches gives you a good visual and you can really see where you're going. Alright, now this inside and this outside shape on these things originally I did with the hand torch, and then I turned the inside there in the lathe, and the mill on the outside here just kind of roughened it, and I threw in some hand grinding and some other things. So it was all torch cut. Alright, now what I like to do on the torch is once you get it lit off here, you want to bring it down real low hit. And then bring your cone sharp when you hit the air. You can feel your air force. That way it's kind of a mild but firm flame until you get it ready in temperature. Then when you hit the air, then you got a free cut. If you overdo your cut, it blows it all over the place and don't give you a direct stream. You want to be clean. meaning your torch wants to be clean. Pretty good. I'm a little bit sharpened on the scallop here, so. I can live with that. Alright, got plenty of clearance there now, and we can bolt this one down. Alright, now we just need to get the tube in the center and mount it tight between the two of those. Right, after putting the short one in there and kind of semi-setting this, I put the long one in here so that I could bring this in here. We're going to kind of like play equal on this here, about 10. And we got about 9, 9.5, 9.5, pretty close to making that pretty equal. Alright, now we'll go ahead and we'll bring this one in. This really, just a little tiny bit of out around on there. These are just like jack screws. And we'll align the OD of this with the bar there beforehand. But this kind of gives us position of this in cradle, and then our travel lengths and measurements and how we're going to have to set the bar up. And this is gonna be the problem child. So this is why I wanted to put this one in here first. All right, that's barely touching there. Okay, and the last one here. They feel just a little gummy. I probably didn't put any lube on them, which is out of habit. Or out of character, I should say. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and undo our chuck. So we're in the free mode here. Okay, now we want to see our total cut is going to be 34.5 inches long. So we need 34.5 inches to off of this end here, which is pretty close to the entire length of the lathe here. We may actually be taking this in, oh, I don't know, maybe half and half. We'll see.